The Murdaugh family is a prominent American legal family in the Little Country region of South Carolina. From 1920 to 2006, 3 members of the family consecutively served as solicitor in charge of prosecuting all criminal cases in the state's 14th Circuit District. The leading locals to call the 5-county district Murdaugh Country. The family also founded a nationally recognized civil litigation firm in Hampton, South Carolina that specializes in personal injury litigation. Despite all of the success, the legacy of this family is marked by legal issues, including corruption, insurance fraud, drug charges, and 5 murders in the last 6 years. Welcome to History's Biggest Villains. In South Carolina, the solicitor, which is similar to a district attorney, is in charge of prosecuting all criminal cases in the jurisdiction. The 14th Circuit District oversees Allendale, Colleton, Hampton, Beaufort, and Jasper counties. It is the only judicial court in the state of South Carolina to cover 5 counties. Described by NPR as one of South Carolina's most prominent legal families, the Murdaughs were featured in the cover story for a 1989 issue of Carolina Lawyer magazine. According to columnist Kathleen Parker, the jurisdiction of the 14th Circuit District was known as Murdaugh Country, where the justice system was regarded as rigged and local attorneys would move to settle the case rather than to go to trial. Because of the family's decades-long control of the office of solicitor, it wielded enormous judicial and political power for almost a century. Randolph Murdaugh Sr. was born in Varnville and graduated from law school at the University of South Carolina in 1910. Upon graduation, he founded a one-man law firm in Hampton, South Carolina, about 65 miles inland from Charleston. In 1920, he became the solicitor in the 14th Judicial Circuit and held the position until 1940, when he was killed in a collision between his car and a train. He was succeeded by his son, Randolph Buster Murdaugh Jr., who served from 1940 to 1986. In his 46 years in office, Buster ran opposed only twice. Buster was known for his love of chewing tobacco, his courtroom prowess, and his flair for acting out murders before spellbound juries. According to Professor John Bloom of Cornell Law School, Buster was rebuked several times by the state Supreme Court for his closing arguments in several death penalty cases. In 1956, he was indicted by a federal grand jury for allegedly warning a bootlegger to move a still into a neighboring county to avoid the police, but he was acquitted of all charges. Buster retired in 1986 and died in 1998. He was succeeded as solicitor by his son, Randolph Murdaugh III, who took office in 1986. He ran unopposed in every election and held office until retiring in 2006. Randolph III was married to Elizabeth Alexander and had 4 children, including 3 sons, Randolph IV, who they called Randy, and Richard Alexander, called Alex, who was born in 1968. They both entered the law firm. In 2019, Randolph III was awarded the Order of the Palmetto, South Carolina's highest civilian recognition by Governor Henry McMaster. He retired in 2006 and died of natural causes on June 10, 2021. Alex graduated from the University of South Carolina in 1990 and from its School of Law in 1994. He soon joined the family firm, volunteering part-time in the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office. Alex married Margaret Kennedy Brandstatter and had 2 sons, Richard Alexander Jr. called Buster, and Paul Terry, who was born in 1999. The Murdaugh family law firm, the Parker Law Group, specializes in personal injury litigation. The firm built its success in the early 2000s due to a state law that made it easier for plaintiffs to forum shop. And basically forum shopping is the effort by lawyers to select judges or courts that are more receptive to their clients' cases. Cherry picking the courts. Now we're going to get into some of the legal issues that this family has been involved in, and it is a lot of them, I'm telling you. In 2015, teenager Stephen Smith was found dead from blunt force trauma on a road in Hampton County, and the case was ruled a hit and run with no suspects arrested. Smith was openly gay and a high school classmate of Alec Murdaugh's oldest son, Buster. Witnesses interviewed as part of the original investigation reportedly implicated Buster as having been involved in a relationship with Stephen, but the case had gone cold. According to the Greenville News, rumors hinting at a cover-up and the possible involvement of one or more members of the Murdaugh family began circulating around the Hampton County area soon after Smith's death, and according to the Beaufort County Island Packet, the case reeked of insider interference. In June 2021, South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, or SLED, reopened the investigation into Smith's death based on evidence found while investigating the deaths of Alex Murdaugh's wife and son, which had also occurred in June 2021, in which Alex was charged with murder. No charges or indictments have been issued thus far in Smith's killing. On February 2, 2018, the Murdaugh's longtime housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield, suffered a severe head injury when she fell down the front steps of the family's Moselle estate and died on February 26, 2018 of complications including a stroke. It had been reported as a trip and fall accident, but no coroner was notified, no autopsy was performed, and the death certificate said that she died of natural causes. A coroner testified that describing her death on the death certificate as natural was improper. Alex demonstrated suspicious behavior around her death, including arriving on the scene before the EMTs and insisting that he heard Satterfield say that his dogs had caused her fall, contradicting her own statement later that she had no idea what caused her fall. Satterfield's two sons were awarded an insurance settlement for the accident and or natural death, but by 2021, they had not received any money. According to multiple indictments, Alex Murdaugh, Chad Westendorf, and attorney Corey Fleming conspired to steal the Satterfields' $4.3 million insurance policy settlement. The scam worked by diverting the insurance payout to Alex's account and then not notifying the Satterfields that insurance settlement had occurred. This involved forgery from the law firm and Palmetto State Bank. The Satterfield sons were ultimately able to recover more than $6.5 million during subsequent lawsuits. On September 15, 2021, authorities announced that they were opening a criminal investigation into the Satterfield's 2018 death. In June 2022, authorities received permission to exhume Satterfield's body in order to continue the investigation into her death. In February 2019, Alex's younger son Paul Murdaugh was charged with 3 felonies after he crashed into a pillar of the Archers Creek Bridge, resulting in the death of 19-year-old Mallory Beach. Paul was 20 years old at the time, and he used his brother Buster's driver's license to purchase alcohol. His blood alcohol content level was 0.286, over 3 times the legal limit for operating a motor vehicle. Yet despite being the driver of the boat, Paul was not given a field sobriety test, he was not taken to jail for booking, nor was he ever handcuffed. This led to the speculation that he had received special treatment by virtue of his family members. The judge denied a prosecutorial request that he wear an alcohol monitor. Paul was seen by friends begging the officers on scene to borrow their phones, and he was refusing to get into the ambulance. Once he secured a phone, he immediately called his grandfather Randolph to the hospital, where he was seen talking to police officers, with Alex Murdaugh visiting the other teens to remind them to be silent, and they wanted to shift the narrative to say that his friend Connor Cook was the driver. As of September 2021, SLED were investigating allegations that the police may not have been pressured to charge Paul. The Murdaugh family was allowed access to the crime scene where no one else could enter, and they moved the boat from the area. The Beach wrongful death case began the unraveling of Alex Murdaugh's criminal enterprise by exposing financial information that spiraled into an inquiry into Murdaugh's alleged financial wrongdoing. He was under immense pressure this time. A judge has scheduled a hearing for June 10th to consider a motion to compel Murdaugh to turn over his financial information. Likewise, his wife Maggie had made arrangements for a forensic accountant to review the family finances. On June 7, 2021, Alex called police from his cell phone at 10:06 p.m., saying that he had discovered the bodies of his 22-year-old son Paul and 52-year-old wife Maggie near the dog kennels on the family's hunting lodge in Arlington, South Carolina. Both had been shot multiple times and with different weapons. Alex reported that at the time of the killing, he had been with his terminally ill father, Randolph III, and mother, who has dementia. Maggie at the time was estranged from Alex and living separately at their beach home. Police reports indicated that Alex had called Maggie to meet him at the lodge, and he proposed the two of them would travel together from there to see Randolph. Maggie didn't want to go to the lodge and suggested they meet at a public place. Maggie texted a friend saying Alex sounded fishy and was up to something. Nevertheless, as Alex pressed on, she eventually went to the lodge, and after parking her car at the house, walked to the dog kennels where she found her son Paul. This was the location where they were murdered and the bodies were found. In October 2021, it was revealed that SLED had regarded Alex as a person of interest in the homicide since the start of the investigation. A South Carolina lawmaker described SLED chief Mark Keel as a straight arrow who wanted to have an airtight case. As he said, he knows he's up against the good old boys who will bury him if he gets even the tiniest thing wrong. He's not dropping anything until he's absolutely sure. In July 2022, the Colleton County Grand Jury issued an indictment charging Alex Murdaugh with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime in the deaths of his wife Maggie and his son Paul. In September 3rd, 2021, Alex resigned from his family firm after they confronted him over his years of suspected embezzlement. According to the New York Times, the amount involved was in the millions. From this point on, Alex Murdaugh's house of cards began to collapse, and the case became a national sensation, making regular mainstream headlines. On September 4th, Alex was allegedly shot in the head while changing a tire on the back road. He claimed a truck slowed down, shot him, and then drove away. The injury was superficial and he was released from the hospital soon after. On September 6th, Alex released a statement saying that he was entering a rehab facility in Orlando, Florida for substance abuse treatment. On September 14th, SLED announced that Alex's former client, Curtis Edward Smith, who had also been Alex's source for an oxycodone addiction, had been arrested for conspiring with Alex to kill him in the roadside shooting so that his son Buster would receive a $10 million insurance payout. What in the... Smith was charged with assisted suicide, aggravated assault, battery, and insurance fraud. Alex, suffering from quote-unquote massive depression and wanting to kill himself, admitted to concocting the assisted suicide as a murder scheme. He was motivated by a mistaken belief that his son Buster would not receive the insurance policy if Alex committed suicide. Attorney Justin Bamberg represents 8 people from whom he says Alex Murdaugh stole money while serving as their lawyer. He later said that the total number of Murdaugh victims may be between 30 and 50, and the total amount stolen could be as high as $20 million. According to the Island Packet, it is unclear where the money went. Hakeem Pickney was a deaf man involved in a 2019 accident that required permanent life support. Murdaugh personally represented his family in a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the tires on the vehicle. The family was awarded a settlement. In 2011, Pickney died at a care facility after his ventilator was, according to a lawyer, mysteriously unplugged. Murdaugh allegedly introduced Pickney's family to Russell Lafitte, the CEO of Palmetto State Bank, to manage their finances due to the size of the settlements. The Pickneys received some money, but an estimated $800,000 to $1 million went missing. In January 2022, the board of Palmetto State Bank fired Lafitte after allegations came to light that he was involved with Murdaugh to defraud Pickney. The board was composed mostly of his own family members. Blondell Gray was killed in an ambulance crash in 2012. According to Bamberg, Gray's family is owed in excess of $112,000, and the money was stolen by Alex. Sandra Taylor was a Beaufort woman killed by a drunk driver in Colleton County in 2019. Indictments show Murdaugh reportedly told Taylor's mother that she would only receive $30,000 as a settlement, when that figure really was over $180,000. As of December 2022, Alex Murdaugh faces a total of 106 grand jury criminal charges, including financial fraud, drugs, and murder. There are 3 charges from the Hampton County Grand Jury, 4 charges from the Colleton Grand Jury, and 99 charges are from the State Grand Jury. He's also a defendant in 3 separate lawsuits. He has been disbarred, his assets seized, and he's currently under arrest. The Murdaugh family, including Alex, are defendants in a wrongful death lawsuit filed in March 2019 that is scheduled for trial in 2023. The law accuses the Murdaugh family of enabling Paul Murdaugh's underage drinking, the underage drinking that resulted in the death of Mallory Beach. Yes, okay. On November 19, 2021, the state grand jury issued 5 indictments against Alex on 27 charges of embezzlement and other crimes, including breach of trust, fraudulent intent, money laundering, computer crimes, and forgery. The victims were Thomas L. Moore, Dion J. Martin, Gloria Satterfield, and Manuel Saintis Cristiani. Altogether, the fraud amount was about $4.8 million. On December 9th, an additional 21 charges were filed connected to an alleged scheme that sought to defraud victims of more than $6 million. On January 21st, 2022, the state grand jury issued a further 23 charges, which included 19 breaches of trust with fraudulent intent and 4 counts of computer crimes. The indictments allege he stole more than $2.6 million from clients Natasha Thomas, Arthur Badger, Dion Martin, and the family of Hakeem Pickney. On March 16, 2022, the state grand jury issued a superseding indictment against Murdaugh and Corey Hoverton Fleming that includes 4 new charges against Murdaugh related to an alleged scheme to defraud multiple insurance companies in the course of delivering Murdaugh a share of their proceeds. A further round of superseding indictments against Murdaugh were issued in April 2022 involving 4 charges of conspiring with former banker Russell Lafitte and former attorney Corey Fleming. August 19, 2022, the state grand jury issued a new round of indictments against Murdaugh, Spencer Ann Juan Roberts, and Jerry K. Rivers. He was also indicted on 9 charges related to the theft of $295,000 from his brother and his old law firm. In total, the indictments indicate that he may have stolen $8 million from more than a dozen people. The indictments allege crimes going back to at least 2011. He would secretly initiate a settlement for his clients and then pay them only enough so that they would be content and thankful, while he would then steal the rest. His clients were usually minorities who were not well off. They included a state trooper, family friends, a deaf man, and an immigrant living in the country illegally. Murdaugh allegedly used money orders given to an unnamed family member to help launder the cash. The state grand jury indicted Fleming on 23 charges of schemes to defraud victims of $3.7 million. Lafitte had 21 charges against him for schemes to defraud victims of $1.8 million. In September 2021, Alex gave broad powers of attorney to his son Buster, including the power to sell and dispose of his assets, which Buster proceeded to do. On November 1st, a judge ordered the Murdaugh assets to be frozen. Buster and Alex sought to overturn it, saying that they had no money to pay for food, medical expenses, or utilities. Alex's assets were placed into a receivership, which was created because evidence suggested that the Murdaugh family was moving and hiding money from potential creditors, including multiple plaintiffs. The Murdaugh family and attorneys have been trying to unwind the receivership in civil court. Like, geez, this whole family is just shady. In June 2022, Alex Murdaugh was indicted on 2 counts by the state grand jury related to conspiring with Curtis Edward Smith to purchase and distribute narcotics using a money laundering scheme involving $2.4 million in stolen money. The indictment alleges that Murdaugh and Smith used hundreds of illegal transactions to facilitate the acquisition and distribution of illegal drugs. This is throughout several counties in South Carolina over an 8-year period starting in 2013. In July 2022, the Colleton grand jury issued an indictment charging Alex with the murders. In September 12, 2022, Forge Consulting announced that it would file a lawsuit against Alex Murdaugh and Bank of America because Forge suffered serious harm to its business reputation and credibility because of Murdaugh and Bank of America. Forge alleges Murdaugh set up a fake bank account using the Forge brand in order to take millions of dollars from his clients and colleagues, and further blames BOA for not doing basic due diligence to protect the fraud. In July 2022, the Colleton County Grand Jury issued an indictment charging Alex Murdaugh with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime in the deaths of his wife Maggie and his son Paul. The indictment says that Alex shot his wife with a rifle and his son with a shotgun. Sources close to the investigation also say that high-velocity blood spatter on Alex's clothing as well as cell phone footage had placed him at the scene when his wife and son were shot and killed. Prosecutors suggested that a motive was that Murdaugh sought to have a distraction from his financial crimes, which were beginning to go public, and to try to garner some sympathy from the people. If these crimes were revealed, it would result in personal, legal, and financial ruin for Murdaugh. Alex pleaded not guilty, while state prosecutors said they will seek life without parole, not the death penalty. On December 16, 2022, Alex Murdaugh was indicted by the state grand jury for evading nearly $487,000 in state income taxes. It reflects he stole nearly $7 million meant for his law firm's bank accounts and failed to pay taxes on the ill-gotten gains. The Murdaugh family owned the biggest law firm in the region, and they had immense power, but their huge financial success hit a world of corruption, scams, and murder. Alex Murdaugh was afraid of his world crumbling beneath his feet. The public outrage against his family for the massive cover-up involving the death of Mallory Beach was too much to bear. He also had some charges looming against him for the millions of dollars that he stole from people. So he shot and killed his wife and son. He is currently on trial for these murders, and he is facing life in prison without parole. Like I'm telling you, when I first saw this story, it really just, all the intricacies of the case and just the fact that of this super powerful family that controls literally a huge amount of influence, has a huge amount of influence in this state, that literally runs everything criminal wise in this state and can influence the court and judges and police. And the fact that they really tried to blame the death on his friend when Paul was obviously driving the boat. Like the massive cover up because of who he was related to. This whole case is just crazy, and I'm watching it as it unfolds, and I don't think Alex is going to get out of this one. I don't think his influence is going to work. If it does, then I don't know. But thank you for watching. Hope you had a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed that. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Anyways, I'm out. Peace.